Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about Mystic River, and this movie is directed by Clint Eastwood, and it came out in 2003, and it stars Kevin Bacon, Lawrence Fishburne, and those are the two that stand out to me that I recognized, and sadly, I didn't enjoy this movie very much, and there were a couple things that I did like. Those two actors that I mentioned, they were the best part of the movie. Kevin Bacon, I thought he was good, and Lawrence Fishburne, same thing. He was kind of funny at points, and when he's on screen, he makes the movie a bit better for me. And I did like that this movie chose not to use music for a decent amount of the film, or at least from memory. There wasn't really a lot of music that was used, and I thought that was a good choice, and it didn't make any scene worse because there was no music in any given scene, or any scene where it wasn't used. Like, lack of music actually made it better. Unfortunately, it doesn't save it, but it was at least something. And going into this movie, I had no expectations, and for the first 10 minutes, I was like, okay, if this is consistent throughout the entire film, at the very least, I can say, like, this is competent and something that I could enjoy, but then we start getting introduced to a bunch of characters, and that's where the movie starts to go downhill for me, because there's too many characters, and it keeps cutting back and forth between different storylines that don't need to be there, and it just makes the film feel longer, and I was just waiting for it to get interesting, and there were points that were interesting for me. Like, I like it when the actual crime element of the film starts to begin, and that was well handled for the most part, although when a character was screaming up into the sky saying no when they found out who the person was, that was very cheesy, and I was laughing. I just couldn't hold it in. I thought it was so goofy. And there were points in this movie where I was taken out of it because of how things were presented. Like, at the beginning of the movie, we see someone getting kidnapped, and I thought it would have been a great scene had they not shown, like, what they were possibly doing to the kidnapped person. But they kind of show it, and I was like, okay, it's not scary anymore, because not knowing what they're doing to them is actually scarier than what they actually did to them. And at the very least, you don't know too much. They don't show a lot, but I believe that if you didn't show anything at all, it would have been a lot more effective that way. And there were at least 5 times where it faded to black within the first 10 minutes, and that was very annoying and distracting. There were also some very cheesy sound effects, like stock sound effects of like animal noises, and that was irritating. And I guess it was just part of the time, and that was just something you could get away with, but it's 2024 now. It's not something that I can just overlook. It makes the film feel dated, unfortunately. And for a movie that's supposed to be a crime thriller, there isn't really much crime, nor is there much that I would call thrilling about it. It's mostly just a drama of people dealing with the loss of this character that the plot is surrounding, and it's just not interesting after a while because it just feels like the same thing over and over again, and it feels very repetitive because of that. Like, I didn't feel as though anything was being progressed after the plot started to begin. Like, 45 minutes through the movie, the scenes just go on loop over and over again, and nothing is really happening. The first 30 minutes have something, and after that, it doesn't get interesting until an hour and 50 minutes into the movie. Like, I enjoyed about 45 minutes of this movie, and the rest of it was putting me to sleep. And that's not good. Like, this could have easily made a competent, if not good, TV episode, but instead it's feature length, and they had to, like, I guess, develop characters to make them interesting. But I don't care about any of these characters. I don't find any of of them interesting, and it was very boring, unfortunately, because of that. There wasn't any like twists or turns to keep the story interesting. Like I was expecting it to be mostly focused on like the police angle and just investigating this murder, but instead it's just focusing on the people who lost the person who died, and that was frustrating. It was also a very slow movie, and at a certain point I felt as though an hour had passed at the very least, and then I looked to how far I was into the movie, and it was half an hour, and I was like, great. It's one of these types of movies where it's just going to take its time for no reason. Also, one thing that really bugs me about this movie is that as far as it being a crime thriller, it doesn't stand out as doing anything particularly unique or great or doing something new, showing us a perspective that we wouldn't normally get. Throughout the film, I was just thinking, like, this is just a worse version of Prisoners. And the way things are presented in that movie, I love, and I would happily rewatch Prisoners, like, right now. And at points, I was reminded of, like, Black Mass. And I know those movies came out after this movie, but still, those movies are so much better. And, like, Chinatown, that's a movie that I think is really great. The Silence of the Lambs, Gone Girl, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, all really great movies. And this movie doesn't do anything that makes it stand out, like I've said already. And it was just very forgettable, and I never wish to see this movie again, unfortunately. And that's about all I have to say about Mystic River. Very boring, and there were parts that were kind of stupid, and lots of things that this movie does that just makes it feel dated, and I just couldn't connect with this movie on any level. So with all that being said, I'm going to give Mystic River a 4 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos. As always, if you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below you thought of Mystic River, and my social media links, they will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for Gravity. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.